Welcome to 1 Million Cups Kansas City. The mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. 1 Million Cup communities gather across the country every Wednesday to share presentations and make authentic connections. 1 Million Cup events are free, open to the public, and always have coffee.
I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Everybody, you can just kind of make your way to your seat as we begin. I just want to get started so we have plenty of time for Q&A later on today. But so welcome to 1 Million Cups. Thank you everybody for coming. There is a sign-in up there. There's also QR codes on the back of the seats in front of you. If you all could scan those QR codes to sign in, that's how we get the numbers for everybody to sign in. So the more you can kind of get in the habit of doing that every week, the better off it would be. Also, I know there's signs throughout the room, but here is the Wi-Fi network Kaufman guest as well as the password. So if you want to take a picture of that, that way you always have that. And let's give a thank you to, okay, now I know what people are talking about. Sometimes this just doesn't work. Oh, there we go.
Just click on, yeah, there you go.
Yep. Beautiful. So now it'll work. You can come up wrong. All right, let's give a thank you to the Kaufman Foundation as well as Excel Fund. They are two of our sponsors. Thank you to the Kaufman Foundation because now we always have a beautiful place to meet, always have coffee, cookies, and Excel Fund is a new founder for us, and they have helped us with our camera equipment that you see Stephanie with over there. So thank them so much for helping us out. So a little bit about Kaufman Foundation. They work with communities in entrepreneurship and education to increase opportunities that allow all people to learn, to take risks, and to own their own success. To me, the main thing always in this, particularly for what we do at 1 Million Cups, is they work with communities and entrepreneurship and education, which is exactly what we do at 1 Million Cups. There are it's somewhere between like around 110 to 120 1 million cups throughout the nation. So 120 different communities that they're bringing entrepreneurship and education to every single week. So is anybody here new to 1 Million Cups? All right, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Mike, if you want to keep your hand raised, Mike is going to walk around and he is going to give you all some gifts for being here today. Oh, we have a special guest. Oh, thank you so much for coming. Mike, do we have a special gift for her?
Anybody else? You should have a journal.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so what is 1 Million Cups? It was started by the Kaufman Foundation in 2012. Like I said, there's around 110 communities throughout the nation. It is all volunteer, led by local organizers and community members, which is why we were thanking our sponsors to begin with. They allow us to be able to put this on every single week. And it's designed to educate, engage, and to connect. And we also encourage authentic connections. And the way that we do this really is through the way that we do our presentations. We ask them to do 6-minute presentations. It's kind of like the same format every week. Tell us a little bit about your company, your story, how you got started, what are some of the challenges you faced, what have you done to overcome it, and then kind of like where are you right now, what are some of the lessons you learned, and then we have a 20-minute Q&A, and we do all that to kind of go through the story of the entrepreneur instead of having a pitch, and then we have the 20-minute Q&A to encourage feedback between the presenter and all of us. So that's really like the way that we say like, hey, we don't want to have a business pitch. We want to have more conversation between our presenters and the community. So the mission at 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. So you'll see it's somewhat similar to the mission of the Kaufman Foundation. And it's really about just giving access to education and encourage entrepreneurship in our communities. And if you're an organizer, can you go ahead and raise your hand? We'll give you all a round of applause. So as I mentioned, this is all organizer led. So the time that they put in every single week is just fantastic. And if you are interested in applying to be an organizer, there's a QR code right there. You can also come speak to any of us after this. We are currently interviewing right now and always looking for new organizers. So if you're interested, please either apply there or come speak to one of us. We would love to have you. So I already talked about some of the guiding principles, but it's curiosity over criticism, which is why the 20-minute Q&A is to kind of ask some follow-up questions, collaboration over technique, over critique. And then we also ask for actionable kind of feedback, which is never really an issue. We always have a great Q&A. As a matter of fact, like anytime I do coaching, I always let them know, like, I kind of do coaching towards the Q&A, because the way I see it is like that is such a valuable part of what we do. And what you guys bring every single week is one of the most important things that we do at 1 Million Cups. So the Q&A, I always try to let them know, like, that really is where the value comes in. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and silence your phones. And also, while you have your phones out, if you haven't, go ahead and sign that QR code so we can get you so we can get that you signed in. Okay, and let's all put our hands together for Romy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. It's interesting. I've been now in the Kansas City entrepreneurial world ecosystem for a few years. I've spent 26 years in digital health with 17 different startups through my own. And I look around the room today and I actually don't know anyone in here, which actually gets me really excited because it speaks to how, just broad and active this entrepreneurial community is. So thank you, 1 Million Cups, for supporting it. And to Kaufman Center. I am founder and CEO of Enrichly. I always start by just saying, first, how many of you in here have children? I know at least one, and I love that there's a kiddo in here. That's amazing. And just from there, how many of you love or look forward to the time where you manage the millions of things that kids do outside of the 8 hours that they're in school? Like, it's your favorite thing to do. How many of those are in here? So I thought. So I as well don't enjoy that. I'm a full-time working mother of 4. I can manage a lot. I mean, 26 years in digital health, millions of people's HIPAA compliance, SOC 2 data records. But 2 years ago, I literally woke up with my face having been planted on my keyboard, not from working, but from trying to manage summer camp schedules for 3 kids. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I am sitting here in Johnson County with all the resources that I have, and it's unsustainable for me. It's 40 hours, $12,000, and I'll be honest, 2 bottles of wine just to get through planning summer camp. And again, I can manage millions of people's data on a daily basis seamlessly. So I just thought this is unsustainable, and there's an opportunity, and there really should be an opportunity. So our mission is to make enrichment accessible and affordable to every child. And that is at our core. That's something that we wake up in the morning and think about every single day. When I broke it down and looked at, I'm a researcher. And so I thought, well, let me see if there's anything out there like this. There's a lot of solutions that are trying to solve for it, but there's nothing that actually, from what I can tell, after over 3,000 user interviews, asked the users what they needed. And what they need, and what I'm building, is the Amazon of youth enrichment. I don't love Amazon, by the way, but I do love the experience of Amazon. As a full-time working mom, it makes my life easier and allows me to be with my family and do this. So I'm not searching and shopping. I hate shopping, by the way. I'm a weird person on that end. But we really wanted to make that experience of kind of the Amazon cart for all enrichment. So that is what our product is. It's a dual-sided marketplace. Parents on one side build out a profile. It's AI enabled. So once my kids are in there, every interest that they have, and my kids are varied. They play club sports. They love art. My son loves to cook. All different things that they're doing on a daily basis. It's all in there. And you can find it, enroll in it, pay for it, and manage that calendar, which that's a huge challenge, all in one place for everything. And then it integrates into the solutions that are out there in the market today. You know, if anyone has kids in sports, there's Team Snap and a number of other, the schools use solutions that all of that data can be pulled into those solutions. It was really interesting though. At first I thought I was solving this for the parent, and I'm a parent, I know what the problem is. The organizations are actually the biggest opportunity because they are people who love to teach kids, but they aren't necessarily business people, and there's not a lot of solutions for them as businesses. And so we realized that was a big opportunity. The even bigger opportunity is a $90 billion US market, $200 billion global market. And that's probably undersized because the majority of it happens on Google Sheets and Venmo. Our biggest challenge, demand, is actually outpacing supply. And so parents are struggling to find something in their budget, in their area that their kids can go to. And so figuring out how we navigate that is one of the biggest challenges that we face. AI is helping a lot, so I think my timing's great. Quite candidly, there have been people who've tried to do something similar, they just were early. And then getting those busy camp directors who kind of MacGyvered the solution up to this point to see that there's a better way to do it. What we've tried so far, we do have proprietary technology for an AI listing agent, so to pull everything in at scale, which no one's done before. That's a huge piece. We do have a very seamless automated claim year listing. We do have a huge partnership that I'll answer in Q&A because I hit time, and then word of mouth for moms. And then you can see here, and I think this is actually a good lead into questions, but what we've tried that's worked really well, and then some of the things that maybe will work, we hope, and then some of the things that we're kind of the hypotheses that we're trying to solve for with our solution. And so my kind of community conversation question really is, you know, how do we solve for as business people, and if anyone in here is an enrichment provider, how do we help those organizations to make sure that they get access to it's a freemium access, but how do we make sure they get access to it and use it within a community? And then also for everyone who's in the community, how do we get introduced to those organizations? And then my contact info.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you go ahead and raise some hands, we're going to pass around some mics for Q&A. Also, did you have a slide that has like your contact information that we can just keep up?
Yep.
Okay. And also, is there a way that they could download the app right now while we're doing it?
You can. Well, you can. It's behind invitation gate, but you can actually, I can send it out to anyone who's here in attendance. We would love it. We're actually, at this point, we have 6,000 listings for the Kansas City area live in there. And so you can search, you can create a profile, you can do you can actually purchase Blue Valley North's basketball summer camp. It just passed, unfortunately. But come August, we will actually be fully live in the Kansas City market. So if you go in there now, you'll have a little bit of a preview. And I mentioned our partners. So one of the things I do in my day job in digital health is I build really big partnerships. So, you know, millions and millions of connections across the globe. And when I was building this, I thought, you know, I could go one-to-one, moms share, you know, but the better way to get access for all the kids that need it would be to find a partner who already has that communication. And so Peach Jar is actually the largest communications provider of enrichment information through the 700 largest school districts across the country. So in October, I called up the CEO on a whim. He answered and just pitched that they just flyer, they send it through your email, but there's no way to then action it. So we all forget about it. We don't save it, any of those things. And so long story short, we're partnered with them. So we'll be the back end side of the flyers that they already distribute to 25 million parents. And here in Kansas City, they're in Blue Valley, Kansas City Public, and then also Olathe and Lee Summit school districts. So we're able to reach those parents right off the bat and bring them in without having to kind of do that organic share. So that's really that kind of lead in, but yeah.
Perfect.
Curious about two communities that homeschools.
Yep.
Reaching out to co-ops for that, and then curious if you've had any connection with like YMCA's or local community centers and how kind of getting that all tied together. Curious about that.
Oh, if you could answer from the podium, we appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't stand in one, I never stop moving. So yes, and yes. We are, so again, my specialty is distribution partners. So I initially connected with the Jewish Community Center in Kansas City or in Overland Park, because they offer a ton of programs. They've been doing it for a long time. They had a lot of knowledge. So they were a great user research. And at the end of the day, those larger orgs, they already have, either they've built legacy software. So there's a little bit more of a challenge for them to migrate than, like, let's say an independent math tutor that just wants to fill 20 hours a week but doesn't really have an access point to do that. So the kind of think about Etsy versus Amazon, we're really targeting that Etsy market of like those independents that make the bulk of enrichment in fact. Alongside of that though, I'm talking to the National Association of Jewish Community Centers, the National YMCA Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. And we have strategies in place to have them migrate to our platform in the next 2 years. And they may not migrate all to it, but yes. And then homeschools. So Peach Jar really targeted traditional school districts. And they, again, 700 relationships over 13 years. They've been an amazing partner. The CEO and I are very close now. But they have never connected with private schools or religious orgs. So something really interesting that I learned is most parents, when we think about enrichment, we don't think about our school district, but that's our longest enrichment relationship. In Blue Valley, my oldest daughter started in 2006 and my youngest son will graduate in 2035. So for 29 years, I am using Blue Valley schools as an enrichment provider. But then also faith-based is it's in some places it's even more used than the school district, interestingly, and then also community and rec centers. So that's really where I've thought of building the relationships so that because parents always go there first. And so if I'm that independent tutor and I want to just get parent eyeballs, the best way to do that is to already have them through those entities. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Thank you for the presentation. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, is it not? I'm the tech person here.
Yeah.
My name's Stephanie. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
It's great. This is my high school cheerleader here.
Oh, yeah.
We are in DeSoto School District.
Okay.
And they use s'more, so they're
Yep.
similar to.
Well, actually, I already have, so Peach Jar had offered to buy us actually already. And then when I met with the CEO in March to negotiate that, he said, actually, you have a much better trajectory because you can stay agnostic. And so I am working with s'more actually has an even broader reach. For anyone who's unaware, s'more is a newslettering technology for school districts and almost 100% coverage in the US for public school districts and then even broader. And they've never monetized past that, just putting that technology, enterprise technology out there. So answer is yes. And we'll look at other. Parent Square is another big one that Kansas City Public uses. I have a head of social and PR who used to be the head of communications for Kansas City Public, is just a good friend of mine. And so we'll develop those as well.
So my question is actually that one thing that we've been talking about, so new cheerleader, it's extremely expensive as a parent, right? We've got one in competitive soccer now, one in.
We spent $42,000 across 3 kids in 2024 alone.
Yep, it can be really, really a lot. So one thing that we've been working on is how can we help these teams fundraise? So she has a business where she actually built the sleepover tents, if you guys have seen it. And one question is, as a fundraiser for the cheer team, like, can we use a platform like yours as an advertisement / fundraiser?
And we would take note. Yes. So you could not only use it, you can build it out in the platform. So one of my additional features that I didn't put up yet because it's slated for 2027 is a digital wallet to pay for enrichment. Because again, my goal is access and affordability. And that's where I really learned. Those are the 2 pain points on both sides. And if I can solve the same 2 pain points for both sides, then the marketplace works. Fundraisers is already actually a link built in that we're testing, so that you can build it out in there. You can deploy it in just your curated community, or you could expand so you can get eyeballs from other places, maybe other cheerleading groups across the country that can, kind of connect together. And then there's also a lot of other ways to pay. So there's state funding that most people don't realize. There's federal funding, and it's just really antiquated how you get it. So we're building the technology connectors to open those floodgates. And then there's also grants. Blue Valley Northwest has a grant that most people don't know about that you can get for your teams. There's other ones all around the country. So ideally, and then there's actually HSA and FSA dollars that are available, as well as companies like look for opportunities to provide enrichment subsidy, because they know if kids are in camp, their parents are able to work. And so all of that will be in 2027. We'll have a full integrated enrichment wallet. So, yeah.
Right back here.
Yeah.
In a way related to what you were just saying, it seems like if you're aggregating all this information, there'd be some real added value perhaps, and for both your people that are on your side and also for you for marketing, whatever.
I love data. I'm a healthcare data nerd. And that's been maybe the most exciting piece for me, other than just seeing the platform work and give kids access to something that they didn't have before. The data that we're collecting is so rich, and no one's ever had it. So we can tell you to an N of one, like, I use this example because it happened in Overland Park. We have tennis. I'm a tennis player. We have tennis clubs that are hosting camps, and oftentimes there's weeks where there's more searches for tennis camp than there are spots available. And so the system, not even with a human, the system can identify that. They can send out a notification to all the providers in that zip code to, if you put a camp on that week, then it's going to fill. As soon as they populate it and hit open, then the system will proactively tell all the parents that we're searching that is now available. So we can actually, to an N of one, fill programs that, camp organizers just never knew when and how and where they were needed. The parents can actually say, if it was from 9 to noon, I could do it. So that's all that feedback that we can constantly be giving the businesses that these businesses have never had before. There's an entire business analytics and insights suite that organizations can actually access to say, what are people charging for tennis camps across the country? What's the best rate here in town? If you're thinking about starting a camp or a program, then this is going to be a great resource to be able to go in and actually find where you should start it, where's the most just based on the profiles in that community. If you wanted to, if you were a dyslexia tutor, we can actually show where the majority of kids live with dyslexia in the Kansas City area, so that you would know where you maybe wanted to set your centralized location for those tutorings. That amount of data has never been available. And then we can make things like carpooling connections. So if you have a kiddo, you want to sign them up for a camp, but you work 9 to 5, but maybe there's someone in your neighborhood with a child that's in a different grade that you didn't even know because they don't cross over, but is going to that same camp and would be happy to just swing by and grab your kid and take them to and from, because that is what is actually the case. There's an economy of enrichment that is the payment, but there's also an economy of enrichment that's the community. And that's something that we've become really aware of, that is the biggest challenge to connect people. And I think nowadays, people are just less likely to just go out and connect and ask. And so now we can do that with an opt-in capability.
Romy,
Yeah.
great presentation.
Thanks.
Just got a few brief questions.
Yeah.
Do you have an API?
We do.
You're doing
Yep.
marketing with sponsors?
We have not put advertisers on yet, or sponsors. We do know that's a huge opportunity. We haven't needed to date. So what our biggest focus with this first go live in Kansas City is the user experience on the parent and enrichment side, so that it's perfect, because we know if it's clunky, if it's not easier than what I did with, 2 bottles of wine in 40 hours, then it's not going to work. So that's been our focus, but we do have built in like Google capabilities for that. We know that's right now our transaction revenue is likely our largest revenue line. We have 4 revenue lines, but we do think actually future state advertising could be our largest.
thought of everything.
I have not. I have not. I have a lot of really bright people around me. My team is amazing. I think that's what you get when you start a company in your 40s, is just really talented people to pull from. So my CTO, COO is one of the original 11 engineers at Cerner who built out Millennium. He has 11 patents for huge data platforms, knows how to build it. My CFO is actually a fractional CFO for Shaquille O'Neal's chicken company alongside of a bunch of other companies. He's a former PwC accountant. And then my head of marketing is actually was the head of creative for VML and Bernstein Rain, all parents, all close friends of mine. And then we have the most amazing advisors. I actually, to fund this, I just did a friends and family to start. We've only spent $50,000. So it's been pretty amazing in that way. We are just kicking off a raise now because we're going live. We know we know the numbers. It can get huge very quickly. In May alone, with one camp, we collected $16,000 in transaction fees. And that was just one camp for 1 week in May. So the financials of it work really well. And now it's just connecting all those dots.
And that was gonna be my next question. Where are you in your funding?
So I'm doing a 500K angel raise. We have 200K committed. And so if anyone knows any investors, if they're interested, I am trying to keep it Midwest first. I really want to keep it KC centric. I am not from here. I'm from Northern Michigan, but I am a Kansas City girl now at heart. I love this community. Would love for this to be, future state when it gets huge and is changing lives all over. I want it to be housed here.
You went to Michigan State.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Go green. I was an athlete there.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, you are? I grew up in Traverse City. And
Well-
so, yeah, it's beautiful area, resort.
I'd like to talk to you offline about how you put together your team because I'm trying to do that.
Oh, yes, happy to. And again, very engaged in the entrepreneurial community here in Kansas City. So would love that. Yeah, hello.
With the Social Media Academy. First of all, this is amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm just so curious to see all the moving parts that you're saying.
Mhm.
Like, are you gonna have an opportunity for folks that are really into
Yes.
the world, like us tech nerds, to look and
I would
watch
love that,
I
please.
see what
Yeah.
this looks like, the behind the scenes, and then these customer journeys that you've built out that sound really fabulous.
Mhm.
What's exciting about what you're doing is that it's so well structured.
Thank you.
Right, and just as the questions he was asking, is to get that team together in the Midwest. I'm gonna tell you, it seemed like something impossible, but you're showing us
Mm-mm.
that not only is it, but it can happen in a major way. I'd love to be a part of this journey. I'm not sure if you're doing any kind of CEO series or like, I know you got a lot on your plate.
No, I am all in for all the things you said. First of all, I would love it. If anyone's interested, I'm serious. My contact info, and you'll see if you go on my LinkedIn, I'm well connected. So I will open up my connections to any of you. And I do 100%, just reach out to me either on LinkedIn or email. And if there's someone I can connect you to that could help you in your growth journey, I am happy to do it. We're doing some focus groups coming up here before we go live in August to test that and get feedback. So it's friendly. So if anyone's interested and has those insights, we would love it. We definitely want it to be more broad than, my mom group relationships kind of sit really heavily in Blue Valley because that's where my kids go to school. But I would love it across everywhere, everything. So I get that insight. And then on the technology side, we're also doing a focus group on that side in the next 2 weeks. So I can send the invite, and then it's just virtual. You jump on, we'll go through those user journeys, let you get in there and play with it, and then give us feedback. Would be fantastic.
I'll definitely reach out to you on LinkedIn. Also, you've got an amazing story. I'm not sure if you're telling it, especially in LinkedIn, that space. If you've got some interns that can film this journey
Yeah.
and the story, I think it would be phenomenal. Like, let's say if you started today until your launch and you just had a person come in and film every single week, you do the same drop each time.
Yeah.
And then you've got the hashtag Friday Thought from a Working Mom. By the time you're launching, I think that your growth and trajectory as a CEO would really put you in a light that would be phenomenal. And then, as we know, most of the women on LinkedIn are working moms, right?
Yeah.
So they can relate. And so seeing that you can bootstrap this, especially with 50K in the Midwest, is like unheard of. So it's like a suburban
Thank
mom's journey
Yeah.
to the top, because I really know that you've got the infrastructure to do the Amazon thing. You've got the team and the experience. And so most people have these grandiose ideas with no real technical background.
Mhm.
You do.
And I had no tech. I mean, I live in the technology space, but I do not do tech. I do go to market. I am a seller and a partnership person, but I love that. And yes, so my head of PR is a dad actually, who used to be the head of comms for KC public schools. He is on me to do exactly that. I love presenting in a very personal way. I don't love being on video. I just had to be, but I would do it to grow the company. So I'd love to chat with you about that. And that is not my nature. I'm a pipeline entrepreneur. And if people don't know what pipeline is, definitely put a shout out to Pipeline. It is a community kind of accelerator / I don't even know how to, it's by application. You go in and it's a kind of 1-year mentorship accelerator program that's based here in the Midwest in Kansas City, Wichita, Omaha, St. Louis. If you get in, you're in a cohort and I will close with this, and you get the network of pipeliners to help you to support your growth. So if anyone has any questions about Pipeline, we do a lot of stuff alongside it here at Kaufman. I did not know, I guess I will close with this, as an enrichment and growth, being on that mission, all of the resources that are here in Kansas City, I think we very much underestimate the opportunity that startups have here, and also the relationships. People here, I've always said it, I've traveled a ton, people in Kansas City are just the nicest humans on earth. And all the way, and when they say like, oh, I would do this for you and I'll make that connection, they actually do it, which is amazing. So lean in, don't just reach out to me on Enrichly, though, do that. But as you guys are building your companies or thinking about building a company or thinking about doing anything, please don't hesitate, really. That's what I'm invested in. So thank you for letting me present.
All right, Romy, thank you so much. We have one final question for you. What can we as a community do to help you?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm in a raise. So if anyone knows any potential angel investors who are interested in education, enrichment, really want to keep it KC centric. It can be as small as 5K. So I kept it a little bit lower so that everybody could be involved in the growth of this, because I think that's what it should be. And then enrichment orgs, or like that kind of suggestion around the community kind of information feedback cycle would be really helpful, so that I'm not just in Overland Park sourcing this, but it's more broad and getting all those different viewpoints. So please reach out, seriously.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let's put our hands together for Cynthia.
Good morning, good morning. Actually, it's going to be me and my husband. So my name is Cynthia Corn-Wattree, and this is my husband, Cecil Wattree. And we co-founded Radical Empowerment Services. They're back in 2020 was when we had the idea. I am a veteran educator of 25 years. And as I left education during COVID, because it was only going to be around for a couple months, right? And I was going to do something different afterwards. And when it kept going, we kind of turned to each other and said, we got to do something a little different. So we had to pivot. And one of the things that we did is we founded Radical Empowerment Services. And through this, we really wanted to do it in a way that we could get to community. We were all about community health. Like I said, I'm a veteran educator, alternative school. I was working with my families, walking with them hand in hand, trying to get them through whatever situation came up. But as you know, one person can only do one person's job. And when you were looking at the faces of 30 to 40 families, we saw that there was an issue. So this is where we kind of stepped in. And through this work, we also began to work with other community organizations. And real relationships were happening. And as we were working with these community agencies to get mental health to them, we started seeing that they were doing this work of peer work, right? Walking with their families, walking with their community members through situations. If any of you have ever done any community work, one thing that you happen to notice, it's a lot of bootstrapping. And we're doing it out of the kindness of our heart and when we have time. And sometimes when you're chasing kids and activities and work and life, you can kind of see how that becomes a little small. So what we decided to do is we decided to pivot really hard and start to close the gap of pairing community-based peer support work with the structure that we can provide. Because what was happening is you have just people who come together, we have a great idea, we want to help each other. There's no structure, there's no way to help bill any of that. And Medicaid provides that opportunity, and other health insurances do as well. And so what we decided to do is, as we were seeing this problem, we're like, well, we're the solution. We know that a lot of community agencies are able to do the work, but they don't have anyone that's going to help them build up their mentorship program, to train them, to make sure that they're on the cultural same page. Because we also know that when I'm in a community, I'm from Hickman Mills, South Kansas City, most families don't look like me. And when I'm out there, I know that I have a lot of privilege that I can speak for these families, but I can't reach everybody. And as I'm looking at these community agencies that are trying to do this, Cecil and I just kept seeing the same problem over and over and over again. Is there's a lot of need. We have a lot of people with really good hearts and a lot of people that just don't have the structure. Now, to take on the liability as well, to start billing Medicaid, that's a lot of work. And so what we are able to do is we are able to come stand with a community agency and partner with them and provide the liability, the structure, the training, the cultural development, all of those pieces, so that the community agencies can actually start to pay their workers. I don't know about you, but all the volunteer work that I've done over my life, I would have loved to have been paid. I'd be filthy rich right now. And so one of the things that we've done is we started to partner with Community Assistance Council in South Kansas City. They are getting ready to expand, and so our model is going to be layered right on top of what they're already doing. This is nothing new. All we're doing is just providing a pathway to be able to fund some of the activities that they are already doing, and being able to kind of close that gap and provide them an opportunity to pay their workers, so that they're not always having to rely on grants. Because anyone in community work knows that grants are really hard to get at times, and there's a lot of agencies in town trying to fight for the same pots. So one of the three things that we are able to do to help bring the peer support model together is that we have community trust. We saw that community agencies, they're the ones who have the trust of the community, right? I can't go into Marlboro. That's not my community. I can't go in there and say, here's what you should do. That community already knows what to do, but we can walk hand in hand to help them expand their opportunities to reach their community. We also provide the clinical supervision, and this is something that's a little bit different. Instead of mentors just kind of checking in with somebody, we're checking in with the mentors. So during supervision, we're not just asking, did you get your hours done? Did you get your notes turned in? We're also asking, how are you? Because when you are working with folks who are traumatized, you have to remain centered. And so that's one of the things that has us standing out a little bit differently, is that we provide the clinical supervision piece and then also the billing infrastructure. And so we have already identified the billing company and our accountant. But there we go. One of the things that we're running into, and this is the problem that I think we're going to see a lot, even with our community agencies as they're getting grants, a lot of them are reimbursable grants. So we're always, you gotta have the money to spend it, then you gotta wait for it to come back. We are also going to be in the same boat. So this is one of the spaces that we have found that we're kind of strapped a little bit, is that there's a 30 to 90 days before the Medicaid reimbursement is going to be able to come back. And so, you know, in that space, that's a bridge that we have to be able to bridge. So that's to be able to meet the both ends, be able to get the peer supports paid, and also be able to kind of move them a little bit more forward. We're going to need to find some funding. So we are also in that space of if there's any investors, because we do know that if we're able to bridge that gap quicker, we're able to expand services a lot faster. So right now we're working off of just us two and a few other dedicated people that are willing to put in the time and effort, because we know that this is going to be really big. Every agency that we've talked to, they've said yes. Before we could even finish our presentation, they're like, absolutely, yes, we need this. And so we have built a detailed year one pilot budget that's calculating everything that we're going to need. We have deferred our founder pay. I would love to not have to do this, but we're also pursuing grant funding with our community partners. And then also we're shifting this, the liability back to us. So that's what we're most excited about to tell folks. That way they don't have to take that on themselves. But what we're still solving, obviously, is the reserve is not fully funded. Grant timelines, you just never know that you're going to apply. You might not even get it. And then we're also looking at spaces of back-end office work, because I'm a teacher. Cecil's a therapist, and business is what we're learning as we're teaching ourselves, right? So we know all the cultural pieces, the mental health pieces, all the things that are needed to kind of help the organizations grow. But we're gonna need a little bit of help on the back end. And then also, one of the biggest things is if you know a licensed therapist in Kansas or Missouri, we are definitely looking for them because we'll need more folks to be able to do the intakes for the different organizations that we're going to be working with. So we are really wanting to know from you, like, what has worked for you in terms of expanding your business, what tips, tricks, places we should go. We're definitely open for that. And Cecil has a lot of the information about the technical side of things. If you have questions about that, I'm kind of usually the person that's out front, the community engagement person, but Cecil has the information technically behind the scenes.
Beautiful, thank you. I love this last slide. I love the questions for community. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take questions.
Go back to the. So I have a couple of questions right off the bat. One, are you familiar with Rural Health Transformation Initiative?
No.
So let's just talk.
Okay.
You could get fund, RHTP is a federal funding across the US, 50 billion set aside from the bill from last summer. And each state got a certain amount and they are tasked with spending it over 5 years and looking for partnerships. Kansas actually got more than most because of how well their application was done. So Rural Health Transformation can help you guys for sure. It's going through flow right now, so you'll want to get involved in that. And then I love the way you're deploying it because you're right, at the end of the day, the people who are doing the work know how to do the work. Now they just need to be, have the alleviate the kind of stressors of figuring out how to pay for it, and then also have that liability. When you're partnering with a group, how much do you do? Like, how much is the ask on them to get that partnership off the ground? And then when you're billing through Medicare, Medicaid, are there requirements for them that they have to fit? I'm just thinking about other groups that I might be able to connect you with. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to remember it. There's also another startup in town that actually helps, as long as you have billables through Medicaid or insurance, they will help, they will loan the money against that and take a 1% transaction fee. And they're live currently here in KC as a startup. Cerner, former Cerner guys founded it. Really bright company, so I'll connect you to them as well. They're a client of mine on my consulting side.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer that, the ask for folks is actually pretty low because most of the time the community organizations that we've been in contact with are already doing a lot of peer support work already. And so one of the biggest asks that we do have to have is that they do need to be certified as a peer support specialist.
Okay.
So in Kansas, it is self-paced. You can register online and you can just go through it whenever you would like to do that. And you can have peer support level 1, means that you can work with adults. Peer support level 2 allows you to work with youth. So that is usually the biggest kind of entry for folks, is just making sure that all of their folks are certified, because they do need to be certified in order for us to bill. And then in terms of programming, they do need to have some type of programming that is available. But again, most community agencies already have some type of programming there. And then their own liability insurance to take care of it on their end. We assume all the risk on the billing end.
The only thing I'll add is that when it comes to programming, if they are structurally lacking in programming, we'll also consult and assist them with that.
Okay.
Additionally, when it comes to the peer support specialist, they require community continuing education units. So what we provide is that dynamic training. And we would like to say that our peer supports, we train them to become trauma responsive, credible messengers. Credible messengers are people who will live experience from the community, but we want to make sure that they are trauma responsive. It's pretty obvious that I think everyone living in these times is trauma informed. So I think the idea is that when we work with our peer supports, we give them tools that they need to put in their toolbox that they're utilizing so that they can model the same behavior for the clients that are working with, because technically each person is one day away from a bad day. So we want to make sure that they have the tools in the toolbox to be able to cope. Yeah.
Love it.
All right, does anyone else have any questions?
Have you connected with Community Capital Fund at all? Are you aware? It's a community development corporation. I know that they provide like some back office support for nonprofits and like help them like, you know, take their vision for their organization from where they're at to like being a little bit more sustainable. I just think there might be some synergy there that you guys could explore.
We have not, but that is definitely something that we can look into as we're partnering with nonprofits. We ourselves are not nonprofit. We are a for-profit agency. So I know that that does limit us, but we are, one of the things that we do provide the nonprofit agencies is an additional pathway to more grants, right? Because if you don't have mental health or programming, we can help add that in, and it does open that up for more grants. So that is something that we can provide for them. Curious if what that looks like for assistance with for-profit agencies.
I can answer that. So with the partnership that we have with CAC, CAC actively is a 50-year-old organization that has like front door stuff like food pantry, utility assistance. With us being able to add in our assistance, we're able to provide domestic violence integration work, behavioral health, maternity health, and youth services. So in doing so, we consult with the executive director of that nonprofit for the multitude of grants that they go for, whether it's through Kaufman or Hall or any foundation in the city. But that is one of the entities that organization is looking at and conversating with to be able to. But we are also, how do you say, at the table when we have those conversations, so that we can provide any insight to what we're trying to build and why.
You mentioned budgeting, but do you have a finance officer or someone that you turn to help you not only budget but cash flow forecast?
Yes, we've done a lot of our projections as far as within the partnership, kind of the pilot partnership we have with CAC has provided us a lot with the projections that are necessary in order for us to understand the capacity of the workforce, the pay and the benefits of the worker and what would be needed. We have consulted a CPA to kind of assist us with navigating the financial aspects of this. We know that when it comes to the payout, we have to ensure like oversight when it comes to reimbursement. And we also know that like just dealing with insurances can be very, very tricky. So we have hired we've hired a CPA to kind of assist us and walk us through that.
But if you have any suggestions about the kind of the financial on the business end, like I know budgets as a former principal, obviously I know line item budgets and how to do all of that, but it's usually a budget that's handed to me and then I just manage that very well and make sure that it's spent according to what it has to be. So we would love any suggestions for that piece.
But what I will say is that within our budget projections, it has stated that like within the first year, we're looking at probably a $75,000 investment to be able to kind of substantiate the pace in which we're going at. Outside of that, we are looking for angel investors to be able to help substantiate that budget, because we've been mostly, we've bootstrapped and done as much as we can, taking a cut within 50% of our salaries and trying to build. So yeah.
I don't know anyone who's offering that as a service, but having started businesses, I understand the importance of having really good cash flow forecast.
Yes.
Which is very different from budgeting.
Yes.
It's a part of that same process, but it leads you to an understanding of how much you really need to have in the bank to make this thing go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And without that, you're always going to be stopping and stuttering, reducing yourself.
Yeah. And we do have, we have already planned out, we do have quarterly reviews as to what's already happening. And we've been doing this on a very small pilot scale. So as we begin to expand and have larger amounts of organizations that we're working with, we will want to review that quarterly just so that we can see what's coming in. Because with Medicaid billing, we're also seeing what is the pace in which it's coming back, what is being denied, what is like, we too are data. We're looking at all of that every single quarter to make adjustments as needed, but definitely wanting to get hooked up with people who are way smarter about that.
I was just going to say, and for everyone, there's a great resource. There's a ton of great resource. I just didn't know this until I got into STARS, but Casey SourceLink if you haven't been there, go there, go to the website. A good friend of mine, who also owns the first Cuban coffee company here in Kansas City, is there and would be a great resource. It tells you all the different things that are around that can support you. I will reiterate pipeline. You guys talk to me about that. You guys should definitely apply. But there's tons of startup opportunity, and once you get in, they keep coming. So like, just to give an example, here in Kansas City alone, last year we pitched at something called Pure Pitch, which is a really fun environment. They select 8 startups to pitch to 100 investors in a room that all have $1,000 to vote for their favorite startup with. So you can walk away with essentially 100K. Nobody does. Everybody votes for everybody, but we walked away with like 19K that night, and a great feedback and a bunch of intros. One of the ones that invested in us was Locked In. And so that's just one of probably 30 different opportunities that can get overwhelming. But if you talk to different ones of us who've already gone through, we can tell you which ones, are worth your time, which aren't. But there are a lot of entrepreneurship resources in the Kansas City area that I think we underestimate. So Casey SourceLink would be one that I would go to right after that. Johnson County Economic Development is another great source. Kansas City Economic Development, Keystone, there's Keystone Angels and then Keystone Development. You guys would fit there as well. So I think sometimes it feels really lonely as an entrepreneur, and you're trying to, I know I haven't taken a salary either, so I get it. And then you're actually just not taking a salary, you're also paying into it.
Yeah.
And so, but there are a lot of people into that end, like accountants. I should stay as far away from any mathematical books as possible. And so having that resource, and there are, like, through Pure Pitch, we got $2,500 of Pulsinelli support and accounting support just as a part of that accelerator. So there are a lot of people in the Kansas City area that will help give you support, engage, help guide. That I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're hesitant because we know how much work we're doing to put work on anyone else. But there's a ton of people that want to help, and even organizations like Locked In, like Kaufman, who have resources that they actually pay to then help startups. So I put, again, speak for you guys for sure, but for everyone in here, if you're thinking about a startup, if you're going to do a startup, if you're in a startup, do not hesitate. I'll give, like, as a concrete example, Pathfinder or Pipeline Pathfinders is a unique opportunity where they take minorities, women, and they actually, we don't pay for the pipeline experience. Usually you pay as a pipeline fellow because you get access to a lot of things. We didn't pay. There were 12 of us in the cohort, and essentially you're just supported all the way through forever as a business person. My pipeline facilitator is now my guide through my raise, which I've never done before on my own. And so he's walking with me. I don't pay him anything. He just does it. So tons and tons of resources, you guys. And seriously, if you're starting a business, you want to just email me, I'll just give you a list of them that I've done that I would vouch for.
Check.
So,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Romy.
Yeah.
And to her point, we are actually having, we're going to start having resources come more often. So one of our presenters next week is going to be Casey SourceLink.
Oh.
Thank both of the presenters today for what you brought to the table, and I'm very interested in what you both have got going on. I've probably got 100, if not 1,000 questions to ask you, and it's kind of like, okay, which one's the best one to ask here, but I would actually really like to be able to just visit with you at some point in time. My name is Steve Nash. I am a co-chair of the Committee on Mental Illness and Wellness for the National Catholic Partnerships on Disabilities, and working in conjunction with the diocese here in Kansas City to institute mental health education, so to speak, into the parishes. And I think both of these areas work on mental health. Certainly the sports aspect of it helps mental health. There's no doubt about it, the activity and everything that's going on there and what you're doing. And there's a lot of things that I ran into along my path. I lost my son back in 2018, not knowing what he was going through. And trauma was a major factor there. And so many people don't understand the breadth and depth of trauma. that is not just in the individual, it can be part of the family, intergenerational. There's so many different things that are there that just need to be brought to people so that they can see it. I have suggested on the national level that we do a task force to step outside of the committees that we have that are already heavily involved with the mental health industry and our faith-based organization perspectives to look at this thing from a peer down situation, or if you will, a peer up, because a lot of what we do is based on what we think we need to do for people and based on information that has been out there for a long time, but there's new information that's out there as well. And I would like to get the input from individuals that feel like they're stuck in this mental health loop. You know, what's missing, and take that up to the next level. So that's why I'd really like to talk to both of you at some point in time. Thank you very much for what you brought today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you speak to one thing that, one of the reasons why we're very excited about this is that when you are working with somebody who is only a couple steps ahead of you, who's already been through that and they're on the other side of it, that's a lot easier to do. You know, I think about where I was at as a college student, broke and scared. Like, I don't want to be talking to somebody who's a millionaire telling me how to budget my, you know, $500 that I get from my work study, right? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But what we do know is that when we are pairing peer to peer, they're able to get a lot more done, because oftentimes what we see as folks are coming into therapy, sometimes they're not even ready for therapy, but a peer support, there are a lot of things that can be done before you get to therapy. And when it is a peer walking with you, literally side by side, some of the things that we do is if you're coming out of like research, or, you know, you're coming out of a psych hospital, there's a lot of steps that you have to take in order to kind of get back on your feet. And that can be a lot for somebody who has just gone through a major amount of trauma. And so when you have somebody who's there with you, right, that's a lot. It reduces the barriers, and it's just kind of having a body double there with you. You know, hey, let's go to your therapy. You think about what you want to talk with your therapist. Do you need me to go into your therapy session with you this time? Just to kind of nudge you and remind you about the things you wanted to talk about. And as you're leaving therapy, the peer support can talk with you. What did you think about the therapy session? What would you want to do with that? All of those are things that can really help somebody get over the hump and onto that next stage where they get to stabilization. And that's ultimately our goal. And so through the work that we do, everybody has a treatment plan. So you enter into the program in point A, and there's a point B. There's supposed to be an exit point, right? Therapy is not supposed to be forever. You may need checkpoints here and there, but ideally we're trying to get folks from their starting point to where they feel like they can be stable and successful according to them, right? So I think the biggest thing is that we recognize that we're not coming into a community to tell them what to do to their community. We're here to support what they're doing with their community. Because like I said, I'm not going to go into a community and tell them what they need when they already know what it is. So we are just there to stand side by side and work with them. But thank you so much for those. We'd love to chat.
All right. Cecil, Cynthia, thank you so much. I have one final question for y'all as like last takeaway. What can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
You want to take this one?
In all honesty, any support whatsoever. We are looking for angel investors. We are looking for those who are committed to this work and want to work within our communities. We are also looking for those who are interested in leading peer supports. We're looking for therapists. We are going to provide individual, group therapy, all 3 tiers of mental health. We want to address that. So when it comes to that, if anyone who's interested in our services, that's what we're asking for.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Okay, we just had 2 fantastic presenters. So if you yourself are interested in presenting, you can click on the QR code here to apply to present, or all the organizers you saw raising their hands before this, you can come and speak to any of us afterwards, and we'll go through the whole process with you guys. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we're having Casey Sourcelink come and present next week. We also have Ryan Wright coming, who is presenting Envelope. So we are having those 2 next week. And then on the 29th, we're going to take 1 week off for the 29th. We have our 1 Million Cups Summit. And so actually none of the organizers will be here. So there will be no 1 Million Cups on the 29th. But that's it for today. Thank you all so much for coming. And again, if you haven't, there are some people that weren't here at the beginning. If you could sign in with the QR code in front of you, that'd be great. Thank you all so much.